Hey, what's up? Thanks for tuning in and checking us out. This is our inaugural podcast, Freedom Path episode number 1. We got Mr. Dusty Sanders. Say hi.
Afternoon, guys.
All right. See you soon. Welcome to our first podcast.
Thanks for the invite.
Awesome, man.
I call you the abominable and Dusty Sanders.
I call you the hardest working man in St. Louis real estate.
I don't know about all that, but I sure put forth some effort. That's for sure.
No, your energy is definitely something that can't compare.
Yeah, I don't sit still a lot. If
No.
I sit still, I get in trouble. And trouble is not good for me. Yeah.
Can't have an idle mind, man. You gotta keep moving.
I wouldn't know what that was like, having an idle mind. Even when it is slowed down, it's still moving.
You're not, buddy. You're not.
So we've known Dusty a while. Jake, you guys have been friends for quite a while.
Yep.
And your main job now is you are a buyer for Fasterhouse,
I am.
right?
I'm an acquisitions guy for Fasterhouse. Been there for just under 2 years, I guess.
So, but during those last couple of years, you've had multiple jobs, right?
Yeah, I've been a paramedic for 15 years. I've been on the ambulance almost 20 total. I'm a dad of 4 kids and been a general contractor all the way through to rehabber, and now I'm buying houses.
Yeah.
And I got a small pile of rentals.
Small power rentals. We'll talk about that a little bit for sure.
Wait, how much is small?
34 doors currently. As of today, it'd be 35.
34 doors, and you bought your first one when?
September 16th or 17th in 2018. No,
So-
17.
Yeah, 2017.
just-
17.
That's the one in Florida,
3 years.
right?
Yeah.
The one I met you on?
Yep, 295 Paul
Did you sell
Avenue.
No. DJ sold it to him.
Okay.
But that's where I first met him, was at that house. And he came outside all sandy. And he was like, what's up?
Sandy.
Yeah, he was like, he had sawdust on him.
It's covered in.
Oh,
Yeah, I should say sandy. He had
Yeah.
sawdust over. He was like, hey, I'm Dusty Sanders.
Dusty
I
was
like,
Dusty?
Yeah, I was just like, I was like, you got a fucking character. Yeah.
Hey, cheers, by the way.
Cheers, thanks.
It's after 12 o'clock
Yeah, you
Friday,
didn't give me my
so
butt select, buddy.
we're going to have a celebratory drink. Oh, give me a drink. We have a win to celebrate. We just closed a deal earlier today.
Yeah, let me, this is different.
Yeah, our next rental. Cheers.
Cheers.
You got anything to celebrate today, Justin?
Probably gonna put my 35th rental under contract here in a couple hours. That's my goal.
Nice. Number 35.
Number 35.
35. Where's that one at?
St. Peter's.
Nice.
63376 should be a good one.
St. Peter's, Missouri.
Yes.
We are in Missouri for everybody
Yes.
out there.
St. Louis, Missouri. We don't know anything about investing on the coast or Texas or anywhere else. We are St. Louis investors.
That's
So-
right.
Correct. Yes, we
So,
are.
are all your rentals about in the same pocket these days, or are you?
They're within 30 minutes of my personal house. I live in Southern O'Fallon, and they're anywhere within 30 minutes of my house.
Yeah.
That way I can keep them all in
Yeah.
a manageable area to where I can get to them easily if I needed to.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same thing we're trying to do too. So we'll talk a little bit about how we got into real estate and everything. You've been in it full time a couple of years now. Jake and I are both about the same. So, I'll let you tell a
I
story.
remember
But
meeting you at Hazelcrest the first time in a
yeah,
little condo
a
at
couple of years
Hazelcrest.
ago, I was buying for another investor in town, and that's where I really got my start full time. But what about you though? So you
I stumbled
just jumped right into it, or
I was doing some rehabs and managing a couple of rehabs for another investor. It's a friend of mine for a couple of years prior to me getting in it on my own.
Okay.
And I was just helping out and swinging hammers and doing a couple of rehabs here and there without knowing particularly. I knew what I was doing, but didn't know exactly the ins and outs and how the business really worked. And I went to a Fasterhouse meetup in April of 16, and it absolutely just broke me. It broke my mind. I was messed up for days. Just couldn't.
you're like, I was doing it all wrong.
Yeah, I was doing it all wrong, and I couldn't believe that I hadn't been doing it for 10 to 15 years prior to that.
What was the difference? What was the change there?
Just the way they presented the information and the whole BRRRR concept. That's something that I had never even heard of before.
Do you remember what they were talking about that night? At the
Yeah,
meeting?
it was it was your generation or how much each property could generate to then equal passive income and how many properties that you would need to then step away from your full-time job.
To get that freedom number.
To get that freedom number.
That's something that Fasterhouse teaches.
It's really powerful, man, when you look at it.
Yeah, I still actually have my original notes from that meeting.
Yeah.
Still.
I've got a box of all the notes from all the seminars and stuff I went to. My wife keeps telling me to get rid of that box.
Nope.
Yeah, don't do
No,
that.
don't
I
do
just
that.
had the binders from everything.
Yeah.
I took a lot of notes.
I would say that
Yeah.
the original notes, they used to be in the side door of my truck, but I moved them into the safe at the house just recently.
But you bought a few trucks.
Yeah, I've had a
Yeah.
few trucks.
I
since
think
then.
so. When I first met Dusty, I was pretty sure he was in like a $30,000 truck, and then he bought a $40,000 truck, and then he bought a $50,000 truck.
Yeah,
like
every
every year and a half, he's buying a new truck, 10 grand above the other one.
I do like my vehicles.
Yeah, you do.
I do.
So 3 years ago, you went to that meetup. You were doing a couple of rehabs.
Yep.
You were these were projects of your friends. They
Yeah,
weren't
my
properties you bought, or-
friends, and then I was kind of, I'd say, house hacking my own houses that I was buying. I was buying them, a derelict house.
Yeah.
Live in it, rehab it because I have the skill set to do so.
Yeah.
Did you have a construction background
Oh
before?
yeah, yeah. I started working for a custom home builder as a laborer when I was I was probably 12 to 14 years
Oh
old.
wow.
Like little bitty guy.
Yeah.
Anytime that I was after school, I was there at the job site cleaning up, doing labor stuff, and then anytime on the weekends they were working, I was being a laborer. And then the more work that I could get done, get my regular job done, then I could start learning the other trades that they had going on. So I would hustle.
This is why we invited you, because we knew that you had all this experience and background. So how did you get started? You said 12 to 14 years
Yeah,
old.
I was young.
So who introduced you?
My dad was a fire chief in O'Fallon for
Right.
35 years, and he was doing all the building inspections. So all the builders became close friends of his because they were locals.
Yeah.
So was he. Grew up in O'Fallon, and most of them were locals. So anytime that they needed a little extra grunt work, he would just throw me into it. So I started doing that real young.
I can't think of one other 12 or 14-year-old doing that type of work. So.
Man.
My first job was at McDonald's when I was 15. I
started-
didn't think about real estate yet.
Yeah, I started working for my grandma. I was even younger than 12. She owned a skating rink in O'Fallon, and I worked there as a grunt, for a number of years. And then I've had several of my own businesses, general contracting. I've had 2 different lawn services, grown those twice, sold them off.
Okay.
So I've done a little bit of everything with that.
So at what point did you decide to go the paramedic route?
I knew from I can remember very specifically, very vividly being with my parents we were at Mid Rivers Mall in St. Peter's doing shopping, whatever we were doing.
Mhm.
And my dad was on call. He was his duty weekend. He was on call, and he got a 911 call for a multiple vehicle accident, 70 and Highway A in Lake St. Louis.
Okay.
And I remember going out there and watching helicopters fly in and picking up patients and flying off. I'm getting chills talking about it, and I've done it forever. And that moment there, I knew that was what I was going to do. So,
And how old were you?
I was young,
Really?
real young.
Getting chills, just
Yeah,
imagine
that was-
that, man.
So
Yeah.
let's dive into the paramedic thing, because when I first met you, well, first off, you weren't just a paramedic, so that's putting it lightly. You did more than that. You had other qualifications.
Yeah.
So you always had a hard time of not finding time, but you worked 48-hour shifts.
Yep.
On the bus.
Yeah, on the ambulance.
Yep. And then you also were on the.
I was on the SWAT team. I was attached to the regional SWAT team in the area for 5 years.
That's crazy.
As well as a paramedic operator.
Right.
And, had schooling all over the country to get into that spot. And then having the experience behind me allowed me to get an invitation to even try out to get into that position. Because at that time, there was only 6 of us in the entire St. Louis metro area that had that abilities.
Yeah. So you're working 48 hours a week, and then you're getting off work, and then you're building your rental portfolio.
Yeah, building my rental portfolio,
Going and working on the house.
going to work on houses,
Wow.
and then being on SWAT too.
Okay, so I met you in 2017.
Yep.
That's when you first called me, and that was
Yep.
the strangest call in the world because he just came with so much energy. Like, I'm an introverted guy, and I'm pretty mellow.
Me too.
And he just, yeah, sure. And so Dusty just calls me, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, 636, whatever. I'll answer the phone, and I picked up. I was like, hey, how you doing, man? I heard you're a wholesaler. You got houses for me? And he just started rambling. I was like, dude, who are you?
I got your phone number from a really good buddy of mine.
Yeah.
And he just shared me a contact, and I think the contact just said wholesalers,
Mhm.
and it had a list like 10 or 20 people in it, and none of them had names attached to them. It just said home, work, sell, fax, whatever.
Yeah.
They were just all numbers. So I just started literally going through the list, cold calling, trying to dig up houses.
No, I know this isn't about me at all, but actually that was like a happy coincidence because I was just getting into wholesaling at that point. So I was like how the fuck did sorry. Yeah.
So
how that happened?
I don't know.
So you'd had a few houses under your belt, sounds like, before.
I had one.
Yeah,
Paul.
yep.
Okay.
Yeah, my second one I bought from you. And the third.
Second and third. I saw I wholesaled him a few. One Yaqui.
Yaqui. Still have it. It's fantastic.
So I guess what I was trying to get at though is I went a little tangent there is that you were working full time, and I remember you getting off work at like 6 o'clock in the morning or some crap,
7:30.
and you're on Rooster Booster, and you're taking off to your projects and crap like that, and I was just thinking like, holy, this guy's special. Like
So. Just to pause right there. So like everybody always talks about, you got to find out your why when you get in real estate. What were you thinking? You're like, I would be exhausted, just want to go home and veg out.
The whole concept of sleeping, I always say I'm going to sleep when I'm dead. I just don't enjoy, I enjoy a good night's sleep, but I don't require it.
Yeah.
But that's after being on the ambulance forever. Your sleep patterns are so broken that the concept of sleep really isn't a forefront in my mind.
do you even circadian rhythm, bro?
No. I'm sure, no. And so I would get up, my why, I learned real quick that night that I was at the Fasterhouse meetup that my why was to do what I want, when I want, and nobody else tell me that I have to do something when I don't want to do it.
So it sounds like you enjoyed what you did.
Oh, I love it. I still do. I still love it.
But you were a slave to that schedule.
Yeah, that schedule and you never, until you live that type of lifestyle, you never understand that sleeping in your own bed at night is a real thing that you want to do, or being in your own bed at night.
Yeah,
because that's huge. You 10 day or 2 days solid out of the month or out of your week, you're away from your family, you're away from your house, you're away from your bed, your comfort zone, everything that you learn and love and live and survive in is like I go on a 2-day work vacation once a week. So you had to stay inside of this building, inside of this box on a map, and you really couldn't wander outside of this, say 4 or 5 mile radius. That was your home for 3 days. And if your personal house isn't there, you're not going to see it for a couple days. You don't see your kids, you don't see your wife, your friends, et cetera. So that's it's a different way to live for sure.
It puts a strain on the family.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Or you'd be up all night and you get off your second day, so it'd be your 48th hour when you get off in the morning. You got to go home and you live a regular life again. So now you're tossed back into reality of doing your house stuff, chasing your kids around, making breakfasts, taking them to school, soccer, volleyball, whatever.
Yeah.
That's all back in motion again. It doesn't pause. So you're right back into it.
Yeah.
So your 4 days off are always like a recovery.
Yeah. I mean, one of my best friends is, he's been a cop since he got out of college, and everything you're saying right there, I've heard him live it, man.
Yeah.
It's trying to still have somewhat of a normal life. Not many real estate investors are, I would say, normal though. So.
No, we're all kind of messed up a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
So you went to that Fasterhouse meetup, and you just decided that night I'm going to go buy a deal.
Yeah. So as soon as I literally started laying the groundwork, within a few days of that, getting the pieces of the puzzle in motion, or in my hands at least, to be able to put them in motion, to as soon as I was available to start buying, I could. So that's what I was headed towards.
So what was that process like? Make sure you got all the pieces.
Just make sure my finances were in order.
Right.
Didn't have to have a lot of money, but you had to be at least smart with what money you did have. Getting an LLC set up, getting your insurances set up, getting some contractors at least. I didn't need a lot of contractors in the beginning because I have a lot of skills to be able to do the stuff I needed. Yeah. But, getting at least kind of a mentor in front of me, which was at the time still one of my best friends, Max. Mm-hmm. He's got a handful of rentals, and getting him in front of me and picking his brain a little bit. And then I realized real quick that I was going to need another level of mentorship in the future together. So I needed somebody that Max is awesome. He's freaking fantastic. But at some point I was going to outgrow the information that he had, and we needed to grow upwards together. So that's what.
Yeah, Max is just a friend, right? This isn't somebody who coaches or does anything.
He's my best friend.
Just picking his brain.
Yeah, picking his brain. But I figured at some point I was going to need a legitimate mentor to.
That's huge, though. If you have a friend that's doing what you want to do, to mirror off of and piggyback. Like, I know so many people have gotten into this, and they either think they can do it all on their own, or they're afraid to get out and network with people, and then they get stuck on an island. I mean, just even speaking for us, like surrounding ourselves with the right people has totally changed our business.
Absolutely. So it took me about a year to get everything in order. I had some personal stuff in life that was going on that I was working through at the time. So as soon as I got that in order and done and situated, I bought 3 houses in like less than 90 days.
Okay. So your first year, you were just getting everything set up, but you were absorbing everything.
Absorbing information, going to the meetups, doing a little bit of networking here and there.
Finding a team of contractors.
Yeah, and actually the team of contractors I had in the beginning was just a hardwood flooring guy, which I fired on the very first job. We had that conversation this morning.
That's right,
is that why you're dusty when you found him?
Yeah,
he was crazy.
So, I came to the hardwood flooring contractor, very first job. I was an adventure all by itself. And, I needed an electrician and HVAC guy. The rest of it I could take care of because those 2 pieces of the puzzle need to be licensed in St. Louis County. So without causing you issues. Full permits.
Awesome. So you're still working your full-time gig, getting your business going. At what point did Fasterhouse come in approach you?
Fasterhouse, after, that'd have been 18, I guess. The fall of 18, I think I had, let's say 10 rentals and flipped another 5 houses, something like that, on my own in the very first year of business. I had, let's say 7 to 10 rentals, somewhere in that range, and then I'd flipped another 5 houses.
Okay.
And Sam and Lucas actually, Kate, were coming to me at the meetups. Like, Sam would approach me, as we all know him, he's goofy as hell, but super smart. And he would approach me just off the cuff, like, hey, you want to buy from Fasterhouse someday? And I'm just ignored him initially. Like, oh, you're a fool. Like, we don't know each other. You don't know what I'm capable of. I don't know what you're capable of. And it was just a gentle hounding for 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 months.
Sounds like you did enough for people to take notice and get on somebody's radar.
And I've told Jake this many times. Like, I don't have any special skill sets. I just have drive and energy and a little bit of forethought. I'm not the smartest guy on the planet, but I could definitely outwork.
You're a pretty smart guy, but I hear what you're saying. It's just you're enthusiastic about what you do. Yeah.
I have a lot of energy, and if I'm trying to teach or learn something, I'll pour all that energy into that until I have I'll fill my bandwidth of information to where I'm armed to be able to pursue what I'm going after.
I mean, something everybody always talks about too is starting out is you got to have the right mindset.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to break through and shake some of my old limiting beliefs,
Right.
With you though, it sounds like you get an idea and you just take off. I mean,
there's not much that slows me down.
Was there anything though, like you believed money worked a certain way or?
Yeah, I believed in the beginning that you had to have all this money behind you to even buy a house. And lo and behold, I was newly divorced, had a couple kids, and I think I just sold a big rehab here in St. Louis or St. Charles, and I had about $6,000 in my pocket. That was all I had. I took my entire life out of a 3,400 square foot house and shrunk it into a 10 by 10 Connex box, put it in storage, and I moved in with my parents.
Wow.
And I didn't know that I could do what I was going to do. That's where my mindset was headed. And then I stumbled into those meetups, and I learned about hard money and private money and the BRRRR method, buying with 1% basically out of pocket on these houses.
You got humbled and you wanted to start over.
I wanted to start fresh.
Found the right thing at the right time.
I had a goal in mind to become financially free, and I was hoping to retire by 37 because that's what my grandparents did when I was a kid. I didn't know that until late in life, but one set of my grandparents retired at 37. Nice. And I set that as a goal, and that's where I was headed at that point.
So I mean, I had something similar that led me down the road of getting into real estate, but like without that big life shakeup, you think he would have done anything different, or he would have?
I don't think I would have. I didn't have the support on the home front at the time, and when I was humbled and out on my own, I didn't need the support on the home front. I was the home front, so it was very quick that I'm like, I need to figure something else out that I can spend more time with my kids. I can evolve my family the way I want to. I can grow my legacy and grow a different life than what I had.
Dude, that resonates with me so much because I was working a job in a totally different industry and thought everything was great. I just got married like a year before, and we lost our first child. Jack was stillborn, and after I kind of came out of the fog of that, it was just like, what am I doing? I'm going to this 9 to 5 that I hate, and I'm just at the mercy of my bosses who I, didn't agree with on a lot of things.
Right.
And I was 30 years old at the time. I just turned 30, or turning 30, and I'm just like, I'd already advanced within my company, like pretty much as far as I could go. I'm like, I'm looking at the next 30 years, like, I can't do this. Something's got to change, you know? And I'd always liked the idea of real estate. I found one of the national seminar guru companies came in town, and I'm not going to knock them or anything, but, you know, I found them at the right time, and I joined that program and made me commit and go down this path, and here we are now.
Here you are.
Yeah. But
It's an adventure. Every day is an adventure.
yeah. I wonder a lot though, if that didn't happen, like if I would just kept going along with status quo, everything's great.
Would I be where you are now?
Working for the weekend, you know?
Yeah.
Hey.
Now my weekend can be any day.
Right. Yeah.
It's
So, man, fast forward a little bit, I'll spoil it, but you've been able to quit your day job.
Yeah.
Just a few months ago, right?
A few months ago.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm on a leave of absence to make that decision, and thankful the company that I work for gives that opportunity.
Yeah.
So that's where we're headed.
So you've gone from working 2 full-time jobs, basically.
Well, 3 with my rental portfolio.
3 with your rental portfolio, yeah.
Down
But
to
you're at a
1.
point now, I mean, have you pretty much hit your freedom number with your portfolio?
Yeah. And I honestly, I never even put that.
How many
3
years?
Less than 3.
That's crazy.
So
Yeah,
real estate
a lot of
has
energy.
bought back your time.
Yes. And up until, we're in a mastermind together.
Yep.
Up until an exercise a couple weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago, that Luke put me in to see what my entire portfolio. I knew I was making money, but I don't use any of the business money for anything in my personal life, so I don't draw anything from it.
Okay.
So you have an active income.
Yeah, I have an active income with wholesaling.
Yep.
So I don't need to touch any of that. And then before that was wholesaling and on the ambulance too. So I had, that 2 active incomes. So I never really put much thought into what the business was taking home. I knew it was all making money. I knew where my projections were in the beginning, and every house that I put in service, I was beating my projections by a landslide.
Wow.
So I didn't really ever pay attention to it. It was growing. The business was always generating active income or passive income to allow me to grow in a rapid path.
So you weren't even really totally sure, I mean, until you sat down and looked at it, and you're like, well, I just replaced my active
Correct.
day job.
Yeah.
Wow.
Times 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was, I had a conversation with one of my financial advisors shortly after that. He's like, what are you doing? Why don't you do what you want and not what somebody's telling you to do? I was like, done, here we go.
I mean, that had to be a hard decision though. I mean,
It's still
job
hard.
that you love.
I still miss the ambulance.
Yeah.
There's part of me that misses, taking care of people and the adrenaline dumps you get with it and things like that. You get to do a lot of really neat stuff and be in a lot of really odd positions that nobody else, unless you're in that industry in a busy service, will ever be in. So those are things that I absolutely still miss, or I miss.
You spent 13 years on the bus?
I got on in 2004, so 16 years.
16
total.
years. And you
Yeah,
got a lot
full-time.
of different
Yeah.
certificates and
Tons.
crap under your belt
More
that
than I can count
you
most
invest a lot of
days.
time into. And I know you like to stay active a
Yeah.
lot. So
I still keep my I'm still going to keep my certifications up
that's good.
all the way, just because I worked so hard to get them. I'm not just going to flush them down the toilet.
Right.
I don't care what it is. I'm not flushing those down the drain.
That's what I love about your story. Like you were working at, most people I talk to, like they want to get out of whatever it is they're doing. They want to change their life because they don't like the position they're in.
Right.
You were doing okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I was making a great active income.
Yeah.
More than most people could probably ever imagine, doing something that I love to do.
Yeah.
But it's not I said this at Quick Trip 2 years ago, it wasn't my life's work. I learned that, I worked 10 years at QT, a reputable gas station here in the St. Louis area.
I think you've worked more than you are alive, more years than you are alive. I don't know.
I started
you
at Quick
100?
Trip.
Yeah, exactly.
I started at Quick Trip 2 days after my 16th birthday in 99.
Jesus.
Yeah, April 12th, 99. I worked there till 2009.
So piggyback off what Brian just said, because there's a lot of people that we come across with these network groups and stuff like that. They have really good income, and we call it the golden handcuffs. They have a really good W-2 job,
Yep.
and they're just like, man, I make 80, 90, maybe less than 60, 90, whatever, 100,000 a year. They're like, I can't give all that up. I mean, do you mind sharing kind of ballpark what you're making on the ambulance?
More than all of that.
Okay, so because you have all those certificates,
Yeah.
you're a SWAT and all that
Yeah.
stuff, because a lot of people don't realize that there's other ways of leveling up when you're in the ambulance. But you gave all that up. Those were golden handcuffs, and you
Yeah.
just said, well, I'll do it. right?
Yeah, I wanted my time. I wanted my time back.
So that was more important to you than
my time and my family is by far more important than the bottom dollar in that adventure.
Yeah.
So, and now I can spend more time at home than I could ever have imagined, and I enjoy what I do. And I can, man, even in the last couple of weeks, I've been able to do more stuff at my home, project wise, and hanging out with the kids and everything else in the last few weeks. And it really turned a light bulb on for me. Like, I'm more mentally sound now than I have been probably in the last 15 years.
So the freedom is huge, and I was joking with Brian the other day, like we're just inventing problems at this point. It's like nothing's really that big of a deal. Like we just had unfortunately a contractor walk out on us. I mean, that's the toughest thing we've had.
It's a minor hiccup.
Yeah, you know how crazy it is. Like I had a similar thing happen to me a couple years ago on my personal house I was rehabbing to live in. The guy quit on me and left me hanging.
Yeah,
it like wrecked my world. I had some other stuff going on, but like. It just was devastating.
Well, it's because your wife's breathing down here in the back, like, hey, babe.
Well, it was a little different. Like, we were technically homeless because we were waiting to move into there, and we were jumping around with family and friends for like, it was supposed to be a month and turned into 6 months. Anyway, I digress. But like that, losing this contractor now.
Because we're in a network.
Right.
We know enough people. Actually, Dusty, you're probably going to go with somebody and probably help us out, right? So.
Yeah, it's a minor delay. It's not the end of the world. We'll get through it.
So like back to like the golden handcuffs things, like you don't know how things are going to work out, but you got to trust the process.
Yep.
And you just keep
going. Faith in yourself.
Confidence is huge.
Yeah. You got to jump. You got to take a risk, and that's the problem with people that's stuck in a W-2 like that. They think this money it's just going to serve them for the rest of their life.
Yeah,
salary.
Well, especially when they work for somebody or for something that's a large entity.
Yeah.
It's kind of its own thing. That's
its own environment.
Atmosphere. Yeah. So there's a safety and security element to it and all that stuff.
I get it. Everybody's cut from a different cloth. But for me, I could have kept doing that. I could have jumped to another company. I had another opportunity with my old job to get hired as a manager for another business, and it would have been an overnight $30K pay bump. It would set my family up so much better for
which is huge.
Yeah. And it was right when I had gone to this seminar and like started out down the real estate thing. I'm like, if I do this, I'm gonna have no time to work on my business that I know I want to do. Like I'm gonna be passionate about this. So I turned it down just because I knew I was already trying to transition out of the job I was in. So why am I gonna do a lateral move just for more money? So that was when I really decided, like, hey, there's no turning back here. I got to do this. So,
my origin story is nowhere near any of you guys. I was just thinking, how am I going to tell my story?
Well, kind of, man. I mean, you were working some jobs where your hours were crazy.
So I think just like my first job was I worked for this pool company, and that's where I learned that I didn't want to be a grunt worker. Right? Like I knew I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. I enjoyed it. I liked the whole just for like a pool company. And it wasn't just me being on the side of the pool deck, vacuuming pools. It was more the nasty pool stuff where you had to go down there, pull the hydrostatic plug, acid wash, and do all this other crap. It was really hard work. So I kind of worked my way up, and eventually went to college and all that stuff.
What'd you go to college for?
Originally to be a mechanical engineer. And then I liked...
you were smart.
And then I liked beer too much, so I'm not that smart. And so I left. I didn't drop out. I left on my own accord, if that makes sense. So I went to UMSL and got my degree in psychology, and I was planning on getting my master's degree in something called industrial organizational psychology, which is more or less people in the workplace and how to kind of like make people more productive, okay? So while that happened, let's just say I got my now wife pregnant, and so I was working at Outback Steakhouse, and
were you a vegan at that point?
I was not vegan.
I was curious.
That was actually
Outback.
I was a vegan at Outback. Not when I first started. That was a contentious thing with my higher ups. They didn't like that very much. But
so what do you recommend, sir?
How do you sell meat when you don't eat meat?
I'd recommend the Impossible Burger. We don't serve that.
I used to like the sirloin, and I don't know. I heard the strip steak's okay, but I haven't tried it in a while. But anyway,
you should try to take him to lunch all the time at a barbecue joint.
Twigs and berries.
Hey, Twigs and berries, you want to do lunch? Where are we going?
I can't go.
Yeah, the barbecue joint.
I can't even have the fries, but they probably fry them in beef tallow.
Yeah.
Oh wow, you're hardcore.
Yeah, it's pretty hardcore. It's pretty good. So, anyway, long story short, I started becoming a manager at Outback because you have a kid and everything like that. I just kind of got through my college degree really quick, and worked my way up there. I became a senior manager, so I was a back of the house and front of the house manager. They wanted me to become a proprietor and have my own store at some point, and I was like, this is where I started to realize like I want my time back. Right, like
yeah, because you're working night shifts, closing the restaurant.
Yeah, there was just I was working
kid
50. They required salary managers were required to work 55 hours a week, and most of the time it was more than that. And there was times where I worked just a month straight, just because people called in, you had to cover shifts and stuff like that. And I didn't really like it. I didn't want to be a manager. I like managing systems, but the people part, restaurants are crazy. So anybody working in a restaurant will know these people they're nuts. Everybody's nuts. So. I was like, nope, taking the first ticket out, which I ended up actually being a general manager at a Jiffy Lube, and I didn't like that very much. But then one time, and then I'll just cut the story short here, I had a dinner guest over, and he was like, hey, man, I'm a property manager. You should become a property manager. And I was like, okay. So I just left, and that's how I got into real estate. So
first one was Ultimate Realty?
Yeah, Ultimate Realty. Got my real estate license, passed that flying colors the first time around, because I think it was, but it was in and out in like a half an hour or less. And started going in real estate.
So you and I kind of had a unique opportunity. We both started out our careers. Well, I started my career out. I got a business going. I did a couple deals. Then I got an opportunity to go work with another investor full time, and that's how I quit my day job.
Mm-hmm.
But so I will fully disclose, like that was a huge advantage to me. I probably would have had to keep working my day job for another year or so before I could have done that. We gained so much experience just from what we were doing.
Yeah.
You was a property manager. I was a buyer for another company here. We bought 100 rental properties a year.
You worked your tail off too.
Yeah. I was so happy to be in real estate, but I quickly was starting to realize it's just becoming another job, and I'm even more demanding with the people I was working for. So, I'm still very grateful for the opportunity. I learned so much, but it wasn't why I got into real estate.
Right.
I wanted
the environment wasn't what you wanted.
No, I wanted the
Culture
opportunity
wasn't
to
there.
be my own boss, make my decisions for myself. Buy my time back.
And this is 2017, 16, right? When you're doing
April 17, when I got to make the leap and go work for them. And then did that for a couple of years, and then jumped over to where I met you at.
Yep.
Working for another investor who had a wholesale operation. So really over 2.5 to 3 years, I gained experience on pretty much every level of real estate, from, deal analysis, finding the deals, property management, construction management, and then crafting these wholesale deals together. So, I also did a couple of rehabs, so when we decided to make the leap for ourselves and join our experience together, and you were a property manager for all that time.
Yeah, I was actually a property manager for, it's not that long, but it's for 700 properties this Ultimate Realty managed. So 18 months total. First year was full time, and then I started working for that investor, and I went back to part time on that. So I think I managed 30 properties while I was doing part time, and then eventually that relationship kind of fizzled out, which I understand.
So we were able to leverage all the coaching we got and then the years of experience that we just built up before we started our business. So it was a huge advantage. I guess for anybody watching that's just starting out, like thinking about getting into real estate, you're going to have to grind it out for a while.
You got to put forth effort to get the information you want. Some just going to be handed to you.
Right. Yes.
Not necessarily. You don't necessarily have to pay for a lot of information if you don't want to, but you got to put forth the effort and show whoever you get in front of that you have proof of concept and the energy to pull off what they're pouring into you.
And take action.
Yep, take action.
So I was just actually talking to a mutual friend of ours, and she was saying before anybody works for her, she'll give her information out, and she'll just keep ignoring them. And she wants to see that they'll have the drive to keep following up. And after like a couple weeks of it, she's like, all right, cool, you're serious. You want to do it. So
the guy I went to work with, I met from Fortune Builders, the coaching program I joined up. And that's a high price tag to join that thing. And
I have no
like I
idea what
said,
it is, but I can imagine.
It's expensive.
you can get all the same information for free online, wherever. There's tons of free stuff out there now. But the biggest thing I got out of that was it made huge connections for me to get me to where I am now. And one of those was I met the guy that gave me the opportunity to go work for him.
Yeah.
So I met him at one of the meetups, and I just became a fan of what they were doing. Started following them, started reaching out to him all the time, picking his brain, and I straight up asked him, I'm like, if you ever have a need for a job opening,
Right.
I would love the opportunity. Give me a call. And he remembered that and called me up one day and said, hey, you want to be an acquisition manager? Yeah.
I don't know what it is yet. I'll do it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how it happened with you.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to be
Yeah.
an acquisition manager?
Yep.
So that leads to this question. So what's more important, sitting in front of the computer, learning all this information, digesting all this stuff, or actually getting out there and meeting people?
The networking and taking action.
Yeah.
I can give you all the information in the world, but if you can't put pen to paper or put boots on the ground,
Yeah.
the information's useless.
You got to find out what you need to get going, and you're going to piece it all together along the way.
Yeah, it's constantly tripping over yourself, but not ever falling. And even if you fall, you just get up and keep going.
Yeah, that's even when I was on the ambulance. I did a lot of mentoring with students all the time, and if they had drive and the forethought to start gathering their own information, I would fill them full of info. But if they just went in, sat on the recliner, and clicked buttons, they were useless to me. It's true.
No, I mean it's
So if they wouldn't take action, they were nothing to me.
You can't learn anything unless you actually practice and do it and all that stuff. So
This business isn't really for the timid, you know. You have to be willing to take some risk. Even though I worked for another guy to get into the business, like it was a huge risk leaving my day job.
Right.
My pregnant wife at the time was like about to kill me, but I convinced her this is the right opportunity for us. And every year I've been in real estate, my life's gotten better. So
yeah.
And having that support on the home front that you both have is huge.
Yeah.
If
It took a while.
Absolutely. My significant other says, I heard her say it last night, actually. I don't know where we found you yesterday. She was out running properties with me with a buddy, and that conversation come up, and she's like, really in the beginning, I didn't know. I knew what we were doing, but didn't really understand it. And it took some time before I got on board, and it was like, you go full steam ahead. I'll pick up the pieces behind you.
Yeah.
And that's the way it went.
It takes some time. It takes some time.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys are just a rock star team.
Yeah,
Power couple.
We're unique. I'd say that. Yeah.
So what's next for you, man? Can you keep building the rental portfolio up? Or?
I'm going to keep adding rentals. I'm being a little picky right now, just because I've got, a lot of the rentals I have, let's say probably the last 5 of 10 that I've put on have been pretty high-end rentals. So I'm kind of piecing, my lower-end stuff, my middle-range stuff, and then I started adding a couple high-end rentals that were going to be an appreciation grab for later that's still cash flow.
So, okay.
So yes,
go ahead.
Your higher end rentals. Most people are going to be listening to this kind of know what the BRRRR deal is. If they don't, there's plenty. We'll talk about it at some point around here. But most people think that a BRRRR deal is a no money out of pocket deal. But with these higher end rentals, you're actually willing to park some cash in.
Yeah, I'm all right with giving up a little bit if I have to on the back end. I don't go into the go into the adventure knowing that I'm going to leave some money on the table.
Yeah.
But if I bought a $200,000 house that cash flows my minimum average of $200,000, and I have to leave a few $1,000s on the table on the refi, I'm okay with that because that's in an area that's going to grow that's our average in St. Louis is 3 to 6% a year.
Yeah.
So in a year, I've recouped that cash and equity, and it's going to continue to grow, and my debt service is going to pay down, my equity spread's going to get bigger, and power and real estate's in the equity.
That's been a big flip for me, just starting to realize the power of building equity and appreciation. Like me personally right now, I'm not buying for appreciation, but it's something to think about. It's kind of like a bonus.
Right.
I mean, you got a cash flow.
Yeah, you got a cash flow.
But I think so many people just get stuck on that. Whereas like, well, hey, you're in an A+ neighborhood.
Yeah.
This house is going to be worth another $50,000 in a couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah, I've got houses in St. Charles County. I got several in St. Charles County, about to have my, I guess, 3rd or 4th one in St. Charles County.
Yeah.
And then the ones I have in St. Louis County are still in good neighborhoods that are going to be, they're not going to grow another 50 grand in a few years, but they're going to continually slide up.
Yeah. So first off, you didn't start off building your portfolio thinking I'm gonna park cash into it. You want to make sure you're almost damn near zero money.
Right. 1% is,
out of pocket.
1% is basically what you're going to be for that 1% of your own money in each deal is kind of an easy way to put it.
Yeah.
Because you got to, a lot of time you got closing costs and insurance, little stuff. Not stuff's going to break your piggy bank, but by the time you're done with the refi and everything, you've left about 1% in the deal.
It all still beats 20%, putting 20% down for a commercial mortgage. And
because I can grow 10 times what somebody doing 20% down can.
Absolutely.
In the same time frame.
And honestly, that's what I thought.
If not more.
Before I really discovered the power of the BRRRR strategy, like I thought that's what it's going to take. Saving up all his money, buy one house. That's going to be like 1 or 2 every other year.
Or like the Dave Ramsey, just get a $10,000 house that you can buy cash, and just like, I'll never be able to do that.
Yeah, and my original goal was 12 houses in 10 years. That was my goal.
12 and 10.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I did 12 and 1.
Yep.
I didn't think that was going to happen, but that's basically what happened.
Bro, did you just 10x?
Yeah, just 10x.
Did you just 10x, bro?
So I know some other guys like that too, and they might be using a Freddie or Fannie loan, and their cash flow might be greater, so that's why they don't think they need that many doors. And that's fine. If you're working a job, you never plan to leave it, and the real estate's a side thing, but you can do that.
More of a retirement, long-term retirement plan.
But I mean, that might take 10 years to get to that point versus 3 like you.
Right. That equity that you leave in the properties is huge when you're going to keep growing. Right. It's huge. Yeah. The bank loves you.
Yep. They love
to be obviously less than 80%, but I think I'm like 72, 73% loan to value across my whole portfolio, if not less.
So have you been able to use your equity as a debt weapon yet?
Haven't even needed to.
Yeah.
But I could.
You probably could. Yeah.
I could.
Say you're probably
for sure.
Maybe a couple more years.
You're there.
But I'm going to add another. My next milestone is 50. So I want to hit my 50. So I got 16 left in theory to hit my next milestone. Then I'll decide where I'm going to go from there.
Love it.
But 50 on my own is an adventure.
Yeah.
And I mean, are you buying a lot of the deals that you're contracting for Fasterhouse or other deals?
A little bit of everything. Yeah. I bought a handful from Jake. I bought a handful from Pat and Alyssa over the years.
Yeah, our second rental we bought from you, right?
Yeah,
we bought one from him. Yep.
Yeah. And then, the bonus with working at Fasterhouse, it's a machine,
Yeah.
So you get the ability to, I wouldn't say cherry pick, but you see stuff that other people's can't.
First sight on these deals, yeah.
And there's so many of them that you don't have the bandwidth to chew them all up.
Talk about that for a minute, because we were just discussing this the other day. Like, there's so many people that want to get into the game, but they're kind of waiting on the sidelines. They're waiting for that perfect deal to just fall in their lap. And
I think the first couple deals, you almost have to put your own sweat, blood, and tears into.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what we did.
And then
Little Debbie.
And then you realize, like, wow, this really does work. And if I spend a little bit more money on the front, I can save time on the back, and you can be done way faster, and you don't have to swing the hammer anymore.
Yeah.
So sitting on the sidelines.
You were very much so working on your own.
Oh, the first 10 were, I'd say the first 8 were solid me.
Yeah.
Then I had my soon-to-be brother-in-law. He was in for a couple of them.
Yep.
Off and on.
Johnny.
Yep. Brother-in-law Johnny's a rock star. Couldn't have done some of the big flips we did without him.
Yep.
He's fantastic.
Big bear.
And, if I couldn't, I was able to buy some properties that others couldn't because I had the ability to swing the hammer myself and save a buttload of
you
cash.
cut down your labor costs.
I cut my labor cost to nothing.
Yeah.
And it was just material. So when everybody else was putting offers in at 20K, a 20K rehab, mine was probably only 5K materials, and the 15K labor was me.
That's a huge advantage, man. If you're doing your own labor or you have a hookup from a friend contractor, if a family member is an agent that's going to list it for a lower fee, just that advantage, if you can come up another grand or two to beat out the competition.
A lot like that.
Yeah. I mean, because everybody wants the same house and they're seeing the same deals. Yeah. So you got to be ready to act and know your numbers and make a quick decision.
Yeah, I got pretty good in the beginning of, let's see, the Fasterhouse. We'll take them for instance. I would stop in there once or twice a week and be nosy and make sure they knew who I was and knew that I was looking for a house. Same with you. We talked every day. Probably still do most days.
Yep.
And if you get a deal that if they know your buy box and what your skill set is, they'll get a deal under contract like, hey, this is perfect for Dusty and Foundry Properties. This is where it's going. We're not even going to send it to anybody else. He's our guy.
Well, that's how it is for us now when we get a deal under contract. If we know there's somebody, like a solid buyer lined up, we'll just send it straight to them and say, hey, you want to do this?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like when I was buying for the other investor, I mean, I was known as a strong buyer. It was my money I was doing buying, but we were taking down 10 deals a month in a very specific box. So people knew that, and they would go out looking for deals for me.
Right.
You know, so it's all about building that
Yeah,
relationship.
I sold you deals too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was like,
I couldn't buy after like the first 2 or 3 I bought from him. He was not allowed to sell to me anymore.
we're not going to get into that. We're not going to get into that kind of stuff. That's
conversation for another day.
Yeah.
So.
But it's a real quick qualifier here for people who don't know the St. Louis market. When Dusty talks about buying in St. Charles versus St. Louis, St. Charles is in the greater St. Louis area, and St. Charles County is the fastest growing county in Missouri. Okay, so that's why you don't buy rental properties for an appreciation play. You hope it happens, but when you look at the facts that you're buying in the fastest growing county in the state, it doesn't take a genius to figure out it's going to increase.
It's going to increase the value. Yeah. And if it cash flows and increases, your goal.
Your goal, yeah. So that's a little qualified.
I'm even willing to buy a little steeper or a little higher in St. Charles County than other areas because I know it's coming back to me in the future.
You have to be.
Yeah.
I mean, the deals out there are so scarce right now.
Well, when you talked about a lot of people sitting on the sidelines waiting for that perfect deal, right now a lot of people want St. Charles County, and they want St. Charles County at 75% minus repairs.
Those are unicorns.
At a conservative ARV. And it's like, you gotta be willing to go like a little bit above that conservative ARV, push all the way up to like 78 and 80% ARV minus repairs, and that's where you got to be at.
And I learned really early with the ARV concept or the running comparable sales and things. If you put a product out there that somebody wants to live in, not has to live in, for your rentals, your ARV's higher, your rent's higher, and your people stay longer.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you might put a little bit into the property on your rehab side, but then when you actually start showing it, instead of trickling showings in 1 or 2 in a week, you'll get 50 in a weekend.
Yeah, I mean, you're known for having some pretty, I guess, Cadillac level rehabs, right?
I get,
and in areas that wouldn't usually
see that. Yeah, I could. My wife's significant other, whatever.
Should be wife.
Yeah, it gives me trouble all the time about having nicer rentals than we had personal houses.
But when
you can't do that anymore.
But when you're renting $800 a month, $850 a month for a 1-bedroom duplex, that's like supposed to be a $750.
When I bought them, they were $495.
Well, that's when they were rented. But I'm talking about on the Zillow's estimates, like $750 for a 1-bedroom, and you're pushing all the way to the 800s.
Yeah, $825.
Yeah, I mean that says a lot.
So I think your theory makes more sense. We were talking to a professional, longtime landlord we're buying a deal from recently, and he's trying to convince me you need to keep the rents lower, do more basic rehabs, and fixing up just so people will stay longer. If you try to squeeze too much rent, they're gonna not be able to afford it.
Right.
Well, that's one of the things we talked about earlier in our relationship, our friendship. Because I was a property manager, and this was the time, Brian, 2017, where everybody's buying in Florissant. All these rentals, the Florissant market is saturated. Right. And the old school thought was that. Well, the old heads were saying, clean functional, get it rented. And that just wasn't working because you had the house on the market forever.
Yeah,
I was like, I think it needs a little bit of a facelift.
I had a mentor at the time that was basically gave me the clean and functional grandma nice concept. What he called it clean and functional, I called it grandma nice. Yeah. And I said, all right, I'll do one your way and I'll do one my way. We'll spend the same money. I had $10,000 for each property to do.
Yep.
And I spent $7,500 in one his way, and I spent $10,000 in the other one my way. And we had them on the market at the same time. The second one was a lesser quality house on the outside, but had more bang for the buck on the inside. And I had 50 showings in a weekend on a holiday weekend for a rental in Florissant. Yeah. And the other one sat there and sat there and sat there and sat there.
Well, if you're a prospective tenant and you're going on Zillow and there's 50 houses to choose from in Florissant at that time,
that's probably a low number.
Yeah. I mean, and a lot of hedge funds were coming in at that time, putting in grand counters and stuff. And it's like, for me in that spot, we were doing a lot of stuff in Florissant, so we had to start raising the bar on our rentals, just like you're talking.
Yeah. And it didn't take much. It was just a little bit of forethought, a little bit. Yeah.
So when you're buying, you're planning on doing a super nice rehab.
Yeah.
Does that mean you got to buy it cheaper, or you just know you can push the?
I can push the market a little bit. You know, like we talked yesterday. Jake asked me about a deal on in Maryland Heights.
Yep.
And we know another group of investors have a dang near the same house 2 doors down on the same side of the street, and I beat their rent by $200 on the same house.
Wow.
We're 4 doors apart.
That much nicer, same house.
It's only 900 square foot home. Right?
Yeah, 900 square foot home
or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, so we have a similar deal in the same area, and I think you convinced us to go ahead and flip it. So,
Yeah. I wouldn't. I will not own in that municipality anymore. That'll be the one and done there for me.
Yeah. No, it's a great. I mean, we're looking at this area is in North County, St. Louis, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is insane the price per square foot that these things are going for.
Oh, it's
We're
crazy.
seeing stuff at $200 a square.
It's basically becoming Bowen, West
It's-
County numbers.
Yeah,
Like,
Right.
the market's crazy. So
It's
a
incredible.
lot of
But
opportunity.
the municipality themselves just make it a headache for the landlord. So it takes all the fun out of having a property in the area if the municipality sucks all the fun out of it.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
that's an area too where you're talking about the appreciation. Like, it's gotten to a point, like you said, $200 a square foot almost in some
Yeah.
spots. So it's almost getting out of that range for where it can work for a rental.
Right.
You know? If you're trying to stay close to the 1% rule, or
Right.
anything, you know.
Yeah, and that one will be one when a tenant moves out of it. I'll clean it, touch up paint, and I'll probably do the siding on the side of the house because it's just
You got that 9-inch vinyl, or were you working with?
it's a vinyl. It looks like Big Bird's house. It's yellow. It's not my speed.
Okay.
You know, it's just it's like a 1970s color, that pale yellow that people. It's a newer vinyl, but it's that pale yellow color. That just doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
So
Like
I'll
a
do
washed mustard stain.
right. So we'll do some vinyl siding that's matches the roof. It's an architectural roof on it, and we'll sell it. We won't keep it. So that'll be a project for next year.
So yeah, that's fun to think about too. Just those ones in your portfolio where like, I don't really love it.
Yeah.
I can churn it off and
Yeah.
down the road and make a profit.
I think we just closed one today that we're gonna keep as a rental for a little while. We'll
Good.
probably go ahead and sell it off down there. It's a slab. It's not really in our wheelhouse, but we bought so
Slabs
good.
aren't bad.
No, they're not bad, but we just
You just got to be
something we wanna
prepared
keep
for
us in.
the issues that a slab property can come with.
It might not be a great house for 20 years from now.
Yep.
But we bought it so good, it's going to cash flow. We got enough room to do a 40, 50K rehab on
Yeah.
it. And
And I don't that big rehab number. I'm not a huge fan of that on a rental
no,
because it slows your process down and costs you more money.
We don't want to be over 40K on a rehab or rental property.
Yeah.
that's another reason why we're like, well, why don't we just go ahead and sell this down the road?
Right.
You know? Maybe sell it turnkey, get
Yeah.
here and there, you know.
Yeah, because I'd like the sweet spot for me on a rental is probably that 20 to 30.
Yeah, that's where
You know, that's that sweet spot. But in that A plus, B plus, B plus or A neighborhoods in our area, I'll stretch that to 40, 45 somewhere in there.
So we have two projects going on right now. One's a 40K scope, one's a 22, 25-ish. 41, the 40K house is going to beat it. It's going to get done sooner. They both started the same week.
Yeah.
And the other one.
But you also had different styles of contractors in there too.
Two different styles of contractors. So I don't know where he's going with the story here, but
Well, I'll tell you, one house isn't going anywhere right now because that's the one the
Contractor
contractor quit.
well, I guess what I'm saying here is like a 40K rehab. If I've got a good crew and a good contractor that can get it
It's
done
fine,
in a
yeah.
month,
It also
I'm not
depends on
too
what that
worried.
40K is.
right?
You know, 40K, if it's just like roof, HVAC, electric, all that, like all the sub stuff,
Yeah.
that might be a little bit easier. But if it's
Then you got no room to do the pretty stuff.
But if it doesn't need that much cosmetic work, you're just updating it to be
Right.
more functional. That's one thing.
You could eventually come across like one solid exterior rock star contractor that will literally point them in a direction and they destroy and make the whole outside beautiful in a matter of days.
What's that company that you're?
Angle Ridge
Oh,
for my
pull
Put
up
that
to,
right there. Oh.
Angle Ridge, get
Throw
that
a little
closer.
bone, throw a little
Yeah,
bone out to
exactly.
Angle Ridge
Yeah.
today.
You like
That wasn't planned.
You guys want to sponsor our podcast?
Yeah, but I stumbled across Angle Ridge a couple years ago, and I literally do not even call another exterior contractor anymore.
Nice.
I don't even care. I just, hey, this is what I need done. send me the bill.
Yeah, we're
And I
gonna
know
call
it's
them
going to fit
today,
in
actually.
that.
Yeah, we need. So small world. We're buying a house next month that had a tree fall on it. They made an insurance claim.
Oh no, the big one in Florida.
Yeah.
No,
No. Same size tree.
Okay.
Woodson.
In Woodson Terrace.
Yeah, it is the same freaking tree.
Yeah. But the tree fell in that house too, dude.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so we found out they hired Anchorage to do the insurance work.
Perfect.
Like, oh, great, we're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, we were
that.
like
Maybe good
ecstatic.
work.
By the way, trees do fall.
Yes, they
When
do.
they were, like, the tree's been there for like 100 years, it's not going to fall. I'm just like, yes, it will.
All right, so let's tell a
It'll
fun
fall.
war story about buying a house real quick. So
Okay.
Jake and I had a house in Florida under contract a couple of months ago, and
This is the tree store.
the tree story. We actually brought Dusty out to give us some contracting advice, and there was some humongous trees in the backyard of this house.
One in
Yes.
particular, the Papa Smurf of all trees.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think? 250-year-old tree, oak, huge.
I don't know.
Huge.
I don't know why. Yeah.
Anyway, we're all sitting here like, yeah, this tree's a problem, and the owners are trying to say, oh no, that's you want to keep that tree. It's historic.
It's a historic.
Tree. Yeah,
Yeah.
historic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's historic when it falls.
It's historically 7 foot in diameter.
Yeah.
This thing's a behemoth.
The day after we put the house under contract, I get a phone call. Brian, yeah, you know that tree that you guys are all worried about?
Yeah.
It's on top of my house right now.
It's come through the living room.
So they dang near built an addition around this tree, essentially, because they built off the back of the house, and the tree's right off the back left corner of the home, and then they built an addition that pretty much butts up to this thing.
Yeah.
So she's sitting, I forget what, a storm rolled through. She's sitting in that addition, which was soundly built, by the way, and a limb fell off.
Right where she sits all day
Yeah.
on her computer desk.
The addition shifted a little bit to the left. The drywall, which I would say that's 5/8 drywall, right? Yep. That came crashing down on her head.
Yeah.
Basically pulled the whole addition away from the house.
Exactly. Yeah.
And anyway, that deal didn't end up working out. Maybe we'll come back around, but funny story.
Get the insurance claim and get it all fixed, and then talk to me.
Also a slab house too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're waiting for them to finish the insurance work.
Yeah.
And revisit basically.
Angle Ridge is not doing your insurance
Right.
work on this particular house.
But they are on your Woodson Terrace house, huh?
Yeah, we got that. We're ready to go whenever they're ready to go.
They're
Yeah.
fantastic.
And then they can move right over to this one we just bought today. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're great. They will make your properties very headache free.
What's the craziest deal you bought lately? Any crazy stories?
I've got one that I'm gonna scheduled to close on next week that I've been messing with for 18 months.
Love it.
March 4th of 2019 or 19.
Most investors are out of business in
Yeah.
18 months.
So I like this story.
This was a house that we got a lead on. She called us off a mailer, and I'm sure it was off an equity list of some sort.
Yeah.
Her and her husband had a business when they were much younger. They're in their 80s now, and he had a house here had a condo in a very nice area in Creve Coeur that he used when he was here for business. She's never been to St. Louis. She's never seen the condo. Doesn't have any access. Doesn't even know what the condo looks like. Just has an address.
You're actually buying a condo.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a condo. And she called us. She gave, I think the lead actually went to Sam initially, and he talked to her on the phone, and she yelled at him and hung up on him. And he passed it to me. He's like, I don't have time for this. You chase this down if you want to. So I did. And we finally got the green light to go to the house or go to the property, and we get there, and there's no access. So I had another buddy with me. He climbed 3 stories up the balcony onto the back of the house. I have pictures of that. Climbed 3.
He allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. Yeah. Hey, we had the green light from the seller or the owner to make an entry any way we could, as long as we patched stuff on the way out.
Okay.
So we had that. So
So fun. That's awesome.
he climbed up 3 stories. He got to the back of the balcony. The door was locked, of course. So he climbs back down, and we're coming up with a game plan to get in the front door. And as we're standing there, I noticed that there's a coach light on the right side of the door on every one of the properties. Well, this one had a coach light on the right side, and there was a master lock box hanging off the side of the coach light because there was no room on the door for it. So I said, man, I wonder if there's keys in that. And I reached up and I shook it, and lo and behold, there's keys in there. So of course we don't have a combination. We called the seller. She doesn't know anything about it. No, has no clue. Doesn't know any codes. Didn't know that there's any keys. Nothing. So I decided to take life into my own hands, and I disassembled the light, unwired it from the side of the building, and I took it to the truck.
This is why you should always have a small assortment of tools on you at all times.
Yeah. So I took it to the truck and got a grinder out, and I strapped the lockbox to the back, and I cut the lockbox open.
You had a grinder?
Yeah. You don't travel with a grinder?
I don't. No.
So,
Pro tip.
yeah, pro tip: always have tools. So, so I cut the lockbox open, and it had keys in the property. Had keys in there. Boom, right in the property we went. We still have those keys today. And we were able to go in, make an honest assessment of the house, give her an offer. And she didn't like the offer at first, and she yelled at us some more and hung up on us. And I just kept following up with her, kept following up. And then she changed phone numbers and, moved houses, whatever, skip traced her again, and just kept, being persistent. And sometime in January, I think, of 2020, I was like, screw it, I'm just going to send her a contract, see what happens, see if she'll at least communicate with me.
This is another ninja tip. This is another pro tip.
That's a pro tip here. Follow up. The art of the deal is in the follow up.
Yeah.
I've been
100%.
beat. Yeah. So I just got a wild hair at my butt to send her a contract. So I sent her one, didn't hear anything back. And I was like, every 2 weeks I'll just pop one in the mail. So eventually she's going to get either annoyed with my mail and call me and tell me to buzz off, or something else happened. Well, then 4 months down the road, we got half of a contract back signed from her.
This is the signature part.
Yeah, it was like every other page came back and it was signed. Like, dang, well, all right, let's send her another one. So I overnighted one. We didn't see that one for 6 weeks. And we got that one back all signed. But no way to communicate with her. She's 80-something years old. She's,
She speaks Mandarin, doesn't she?
Yeah, she speaks Mandarin. She's, an immigrant from Asia, speaks Mandarin. Her English is terribly broken at best.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And I speak fast, so if she would ask me a question and I would reply, if my reply was complicated, she'd hang up on me. She didn't understand. And then this would be like a 2-week cycle again to get a hold of her. So
she was never hard to deal with or being difficult. She just didn't understand.
Didn't understand. Yeah, there was a language barrier through the whole thing. Language and distance and age. It just was like this disaster.
Sounds like a rough relationship.
Right. So the other day, it was probably within the last week, we sent her an amendment, because every time that we would send her a contract, she would send it back signed with the intent that she wants to sell, even with the TRID, which is a title company document to get us to closing quickly. She would send that back to us, but it was like an 8-week turnaround time. So every time we sent her an amendment, by the time we got it back, we had to send her another amendment again to start the process all over again, because it was so slow.
It's been in escrow for
forever. Yeah, since probably March or April of this year.
Good Lord.
It's been an escrow. So we sat down the other day and we were brainstorming, and I reached out to a couple of agents that have clients that are in that background to see if I could come up with an interpreter that knew anything about real estate. And we pretty much struck out everywhere we went. Well, we were sitting in the title company's office the other day talking about this deal, and lo and behold, True Title, as the rock stars they are, our closer Tara that we use tons.
Love you, Tara.
Love you, Tara. Right. So
use her on every deal too.
She's like, oh, why didn't you tell me sooner? I have a friend that speaks Mandarin, and she's a real estate agent. I was like,
You don't say.
You don't say. You obviously heard me talk about this deal, and this never come up before.
So Brian says this to me all the time, where I'm like, yeah, I got that thing that'll solve the problem that we've been talking about for like a week or two. And he's like, you've had 2 pairs of gloves this entire time.
It was totally ridiculous. So Tara reached out to this real estate agent and verified that she spoke Mandarin. And we asked her if she could come in and kind of translate for us. She came in the office yesterday afternoon at 1:30 our time, 2:30 the seller's time in New Jersey. And I called her up and I said, hey, this is Dusty from Fasterhouse. Here's what we got going on. I have somebody that is a real estate agent that also speaks, I believe, your native language. And she fired off a greeting to the agent. And the agent grabbed the phone and they talked for an hour, just in communication back and forth, ironing out all the bits and pieces of our deal that we were missing.
So I hate to say it. So remember, you guys watched Seinfeld?
Mhm.
The episode where I guess he was on the phone with somebody from Asia, and then the guy came in delivering the Chinese food, and then he's like, just gets on the phone like he's their lifelong friends.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
He's like, "Do you mind? It's kind of an expensive call."
Yeah, and there was 4 of us in the room, and 3 of the 4 of us, it was myself and our processor, Lori Kohlenhofer, rock star. We couldn't do half the crap that we do without her.
Yeah, she's cool.
And our closer, Tara, and we all would just kind of push back from the table in amazement as these two communicated back and forth in a language that none of us could speak. And there would be notes passed around to us to clarify bits and pieces of the information that we were missing.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, after an hour conversation, we closed on Tuesday. That's where I stand right there.
Awesome.
But totally just would have never been able to connect those dots 18 months later.
18 months.
Wow.
And it'll probably be like probably a 35 to 40K gross spread on the back end on an easy rehab.
Oh, so Dusty, you kiss and tell.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things that I actually had to go back and rerun comps.
Yeah.
Because it's been so long.
Well, you probably are making more money than you originally projected,
Yeah.
right? Because the market's been
Yeah.
going up. So that's one of those situations where it's like, holy crap, I'm actually glad it took them a year or two.
Yeah.
Because I locked them in at a number, and now the market's
Yeah,
going better, so it's just better for
I'd
us.
anchored her at X, and now that X is way deeper than what it was before.
Yeah, yeah.
But would have never, we had to go back and like try to dig up photos of the property, because normally we take a bunch of photos and we load them. But at that point, I had deleted them. My business partner had deleted them, and I kept like 3 pictures, and it's of my buddy climbing the back of the balcony and us cutting the
All the
lockbox.
incriminating photos.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't think there is any deal out there where you could get more resourceful than that.
And it was ridiculous.
Yeah, that kind of is a good summation of all things you can do in real estate there.
The wholesaling business is so unique, and it's ever evolving, and you could go one day and have, like the other night, you guys were doing a presentation the other night.
Yeah.
And I got a lead that night, and I just so happened to play phone tag with her up to the point of you guys were in the middle of your presentation, and she called me
Thanks
back.
a lot, bro.
Yeah.
I saw you walking out. I was like, oh.
So she called me back, and I had a conversation with her, told her, she gave me the address, because I didn't even know the address at the time. And I said, well, I'm like right down the street. She's like, oh, you want to come by? I was like, well, yeah, let's do that.
So you actually went to the appointment?
Yeah, I locked it up that night.
That's right.
And got back for her.
Yeah, and got back before you're done. So, but it could be so cut and dry and easy as that, or it could be this
18
other
months, 18 minutes or 18 months.
18 months of an adventure. Yeah.
That's the damn truth. Holy.
Yeah. And we'll turn around and close on this one. We'll double close it, and it'll be great. A couple weeks.
Yeah.
So, but it's just
that's number 35, right?
That's prime number 35. Okay. Yeah, that's the goal.
So I love talking about this stuff because, like I talked about earlier about the people sitting on the sideline, they think these deals are just so easy to come across.
Yeah.
We send around a postcard, we get a whole new round of deals, and it's as easy as that.
Yeah.
Like we're closed. The wall will be closed today. The first lead we got from when we opened our new business was this one.
Yes. I remember like, oh my God, this is easy.
They sent one postcard out.
We just fired out the text message. We sent out text messages, and like the first round of 100 we sent out, we got one. We're like, holy crap.
It really reaffirmed we made a good decision.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't always that easy.
But anyway, that deal it fell apart.
Yep.
And
for all kinds of stupid reasons.
We originally
here's where that follow up comes in play again.
We were originally trying to
and there's a lot.
So let me start over. Lay down deal where she responded on the first message. Usually it takes 7 to 10 messages for them to get them engaged with it.
Yep.
She responded right away. We went out there, got an offer accepted, and great.
Yeah.
Then we originally thought the house was going to be vacant. It's tenant occupied. They decided to stay now.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, everything's changed. Then we changed it into subject to or owner finance.
Owner finance. Yep.
That fell apart. Then it was just completely dead for the past 3-4 months.
Yeah, and it was just once every 2 weeks, 4 weeks, just saying, hey, how you doing? What's going
Checking in
on?
on
Oh, and then
I'm here
COVID.
for you.
And then
Oh, yeah.
she
Oh,
lost
that's
her
it.
job because
Yeah.
of COVID.
Yeah.
She's like, well, I need this for income now.
And I was like,
Okay.
man, like, how about take 2-3 years of income and pile it on now? She's like, no, I want it monthly. I was like, that's a bit
So,
frustrating.
but we just kept following up till the time was right. And we actually got it lower, 10K lower than we originally did, right?
So and the equity actually, the ARV actually went up in the meantime. So
And then it got hung up at title. There was title issue that popped up, so that was hung up for a few weeks, and finally closed today.
Yeah, good job.
No fault of the title company. That was a situation where they had some sort of debt taken out 30 years ago, and that company.
Was it Bank of America? Or
No.
Boatman's?
No. I don't know. I remember the.
So
I've
they've been out of business for like.
It was like
I've been hooked on
it was like
this
a predatory loan company. Anyways, that business went out of business, and that
Then it
was
got
bought by
bought
another
by
one.
three
And it
others.
just like changed. That finally landed with Citi, and they're just waiting for the release on Citi for the last 3 weeks, and finally we got it now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I had one that I have in Hazelwood, and when we got, I don't know, we were a month out from closing. They found
frustrating.
they found a debt attached to the title that was from a bank that was reputable here way back when I was a kid.
Is that the Boatman?
The Boatman's Bank that was bought out and bought out and bought out and bought out, and the people had taken a home equity line out on the house, but never spent a penny of it ever. It showed a zero balance from the day it was out, and that hung us because they never got a lien release from it. So it took, like, we had the title company, thank God, is awesome, and they went through and picked off every person in line that needed the release to then make that show legitimately gone. But it was an account that they opened and never used it.
They just never zeroed out the HELOC.
Yeah, they never. It was always zero, but never closed the
out
account.
the HELOC.
Yeah, so they always had this equity that they could pull from, but they never did. They never touched it. So it hung the deal for about a month, just because of that.
And did the people even know about it?
No. They knew it was there. The gal's like, oh yeah, I remember when my husband took that out, but they never used it for anything. It just sat there. So
Crazy
the
the
bank
stuff
was-
they'll pop up and like the sellers will always say, like, oh, you don't gotta worry about it. It's no problem. Like,
no problems.
Let me tell you about this time and that time and this time where.
Well, we closed one a few weeks ago that she's attempted to sell it 3 times before us, and it always died in closing, or always died at the title company because nobody took forth the effort to find all the judgments that were on the title and clear them.
Some of the best deals done are because you stick out with the deal, you get to the bottom of things, you figure out.
Yeah, because other people's give up.
Yeah, there was a deal. I don't want to go to the specifics of it. There was a deal where I had to find a long lost brother.
Yeah.
And I was skip tracing everybody, like all the family members, anybody that was associated with this person, I was calling. And finally actually got a hold of that person after like 15 times trying to call. It turned into a $40,000 wholesale deal. I think the whole story there.
Yeah,
So-
skip trace, it's entertaining because you can skip trace one property and come back with 100 phone numbers.
Yeah.
And then maybe the very last one that you call is the person, the owner of the property.
Well, luckily of those 100, 80 of them are going to be doo-doo-doo.
Right.
You know, it's like, okay, done.
Yeah.
Mark that one off the list.
I had one in St. John that was like that, and the guy owned a commercial over-the-road trucking company, and every phone number he had was associated with his business.
Those guys are hard to hold of, truckers.
Hundreds of phone numbers.
Yeah, they're hard to get.
Hundreds. And I would pick off a group of like 10 a week.
Yep.
And call and text and email.
Yep.
And finally, one of the last blocks of 10 that I called, I got his wife, and she's like, my husband would love to talk to you. Within 5 minutes, he was calling me.
Oh, wow. Was it any of those numbers that you had?
Yeah.
It was?
Yeah.
It was it?
Yeah, it was like no, I didn't have his, but I had hers.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
like,
no.
you try to get a hold of this guy,
No.
and the number he called you from was,
No.
yeah.
And one I didn't have. I was like, when I got the skip trace list, I'm just, oh my God.
I mean,
there's
I've
so
got to
many.
say, probably 9 out of the 10 direct seller deals that I've done have been from long-term follow-up.
Yep.
And some of the best ones.
Yep, absolutely.
We're doing a pretty substantial deal here. And how many follow-ups before you actually got hold of the guy?
The
Touches. How many touches?
The Lindbergh one.
Yes.
We did. It was a Drive for Dollars lead from April, beginning of April. Text, call, sent letters, you name it. I think it was. I counted 12, but that was the text messages I saw. That didn't count all the times I tried calling and everything.
Email, and
Yeah. Finally got him to open up and take the call.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if it was that. It was actually they just had a little bit of life happen. This house was vacant for like over 10 years.
Yep.
And they started, when I finally got a hold of him, he's like, yeah, I don't know if we're going to hang on to it or sell it. I'll let you know. They decided they're going to try go in and start cleaning it out and doing something with it. They got a stop work order. They had a dumpster in there, a dumpster in the driveway. City shut them down. So that was enough for them to be like, all right, we don't want to do
We
this.
don't want to mess with it.
So they,
Dude, familiarity
yeah.
breeds credibility. So if you
Yeah.
can just constantly follow people, make sure they know you're a serious buyer, that you want to help them out, you're there for them, you're not just a schmuck.
I've got one right now
Close the deals.
that I'm trying. I dug up the owner of the property, and he's in prison. He's the only heir to the property.
Is he down Bound Taylor?
He's in prison.
Is he gonna visit you?
So I've been mailing him contracts for
Can
the
you
last.
buy a house from a guy in prison?
I'm trying. I've been mailing him
I've never done
contracts.
that before. I don't know.
Yeah, I talked to the title company, and if he will agree to sell it, his note's like a tenth of what the house is worth. What he owes on it's nothing, but he's in prison, and
Do you pack some Marlboros?
something.
Contract.
But I gotta get it. So I've been mailing him contracts for a few months
Wow.
to the penitentiary.
It might take a while to get through the.
He hasn't replied yet. But if he does, I'm gonna take the closer with me. We're gonna do a little drive, a little day trip, and try to buy a house in prison.
Awesome. Wow.
Why
All
not?
right, let's do a little lightning round here. I don't know what time.
We're
it is.
over an hour,
Okay.
so I feel good.
Hey, give me. I gotta reply to a couple texts, but I'm still here.
No, you good? You need another drink? You good? You keep going here for a little bit?
I'm good.
All right. What is your favorite lead source, Dusty?
Oh, yes.
I like driving for dollars.
Yeah.
I do. I love that driving for dollars concept. Any other type of lead that I go on, whether it be SEO, whatever lead source it comes from.
Probably dozen other people on it.
Yeah, exactly. Probably a dozen other people on it. But I'll go to that 15 minutes early, and I'll drive before 15 minutes early north and west, or north and east of the property.
Yeah.
And then after my appointment, I drive south and west.
Mhm.
And I cover a pretty good block of area.
Yeah.
And I'll tag addresses because then I'm already in the area. And then I'll skip trace and start cold calling.
Use Deal
I
Machine.
love it.
Yes, we
Yeah,
use Deal Machine.
Everybody uses Deal Machine.
Yeah.
If you're not
It's
using
fancy.
Deal Machine and drive for dollars, like
If you're
it's
in the,
$50 a month.
Yeah.
I know people that handwrite everything down and they take it back to.
Right.
I would
Right
say
letters,
if you're
whatever.
in the real estate investing space, you should probably get Deal Machine.
Yes.
That's my assumption there.
I mean, we used it early on during the shutdown where people weren't letting us through our houses. We just started a brand new business. We didn't have much of a pipeline. We could go out and drive an hour a day at
Yep.
least
Yep.
and started filling up our pipeline. And now they're really starting to come to fruition. We've got a few deals that are from Deal Machine now.
So, quick side story tangent here. I called a local municipality about how long it would take to get an occupancy inspection done 2 weeks ago, and they are now just calling me back. So, if that tells you anything about occupancy inspections being behind,
That same municipality, I had an inspection scheduled, and they called me the day before or a couple days before.
canceling.
Yeah, canceling because their entire staff had COVID.
Oh, but I'm moving my tenants in. You know, for a Holiday Inn.
That's
stay.
exactly what I did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I said, hang on, I literally just said, I'll ask for forgiveness later on it because I wasn't going to wait another 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Cost me a whole nother month's rent and everything else for a property that they had already inspected at
You
the
understand
time.
you're costing me thousands of dollars,
Yeah.
local municipalities?
They don't care. Yeah, they don't care.
Just raise your taxes. You can pay for it.
Lightning
doesn't work that
round
Right.
number 2. What was the street address of your first deal? The street.
First-
You just give the street name.
First deal that I bought or first deal I wholesaled?
Your first deal.
Paul Avenue in Florissant,
All in.
63031.
Always remember
Fantastic.
the first one.
And the first one I wholesaled, that was an adventure. It was on Riverview Drive.
Oh.
And I went with the intent to pay $5,000 for the house. I'm like, that's as much as I can pay for this house and make money. And I walked in and I saw how disturbingly broken the house was.
Yeah.
And I went back to the truck, rewrote a contract for $500.
You dropped a zero.
I dropped the zero off the contract. This gets better. Dropped the zero off the contract. And I sold or I bought it for $500. Turned around the next day and wholesaled it off for, I think, $14,000 over what I had it for the next day. And then when the lady closed on the double close, she actually had to pay me $337 for me to buy the house because she hadn't paid her taxes yet.
So she was. Oh,
You asshole. You're a dick.
So she paid me $337. So she actually paid me to buy her house, and I turned around.
but you
and
were
sold it.
taking a burden off her hand.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know that until
Yeah.
the morning of closing, and at that point it was too
What are you
late.
gonna do? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
actually, that's a good point. So a lot of times people are like, man, you guys make a lot of money. Don't you feel bad? Look, sometimes you just run the deal. You run your numbers.
Yeah.
You run the rehab. and you're factoring basically, you're trying to make a profit of what the less realtor fees, basically.
Yeah.
Right. So they're going to net the same as what you're trying to do here.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you just freaking get lucky. Either they need to offload the house and you get it for super cheap, or you're just wrong about your numbers and wrong in a favorable way.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just make a lot more money, or you're just a really gangster buyer. And you just,
I mean, a lot of my family and friends still don't get what wholesaling is. And I try to explain it. I really try to dumb it down. It's like, we are providing a service.
yes.
You know, we are doing the work to get in front of these people, to do the negotiating so other people don't have to, or the people that don't like to.
Right.
A lot of the rehabbers, they don't know where to start with negotiating with this.
No idea.
So it's like we're providing a service. We're paying money to put marketing out, and we know we're going to get a return on it, and this is how we do it.
Yeah. Heck, I even still have to explain that to my own parents.
Yeah.
And my in-laws.
And then,
But Dusty,
like,
you're too stupid to make all this money. What are you doing?
I think my mother-in-law asked me, just like, well, why would they pay you? Why wouldn't they, if you're going to sell it to somebody else without doing anything, why would they pay you?
Yeah, why wouldn't they just sell it to somebody else?
Well,
You're like, yeah, mother-in-law, I'm lying. I actually sell drugs. That's how I could afford
the
the house.
ability to connect the dots is what they don't have. We
Well,
have
it's-
that ability.
I mean, we operate with, we're going to get in front of them and make a fair offer based on our numbers.
Yep.
And then, you know, we're contracting houses that we are personally going to buy. We don't really tie stuff up that we never have the intent
Right.
of, that we wouldn't
That's
purchase.
the similar philosophy to the company you work with.
Absolutely.
So,
We have anything we tie up, we have the intent to close on it.
us too.
And then depending what we got going on in our business, we'll put it out there. We'll put every deal out there, market it. Like last Friday, we got 3 deals under contract over the weekend.
Yeah.
And we were looking for another rental, another rehab.
Yep.
One of them's got to go. So we sold off the one that needs the most rehab. That's probably a little outside of our box.
Yep.
Yep.
And that's
much
and
outside of our box
having-
foundation.
You know, with saying outside of your box, having the ability to bounce ideas off other people
Again,
in
yeah.
your same network
Yeah.
is huge because you did the same thing with that house.
Yep.
We talked about it at great length the other day.
you know, like the mastermind we're all in, Fasterhouse mastermind. I've told a lot of people about it, and they say, yeah, I can't stomach the monthly fee right now. I'm like, look, it paid for itself
In your first
day
deal.
one, like right away. Like
Yep.
the return on that has been infinite.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's the monthly payment is nothing in the grand scheme of things because there's other masterminds out there that will drill you for an upfront of several thousand, if not more.
Yeah.
And then you're paying the monthly fee on top of it.
I mean, and you're getting access to a room of people that are doing what you're trying to do, or they're doing a totally different business, but they have more experience, and it's invaluable.
Yeah, I'm like totally converted. So I'm a little bit of a skeptic when it comes to like seminars and like masterminds. I think it's a big circle jerk fest and a way to take your money. I do. I mean, that's my initial gut
Some
reaction.
of them, yeah.
And I thought I was going to be the colorful one.
No, I'm part Latino. So,
Coming out.
yeah, exactly. One beer, buddy. So no, I mean like it's Faster Freedom. It's a slightly different brand than Fasterhouse, but yeah, they do a good job. Everyone up there actually has done the business. Everybody in there is doing business, and so when we first joined and we approached the group with a deal, which we now refer to as Little Debbie, it's our rental property.
Sweet little
Sam was just like, buy it.
Yeah, we bought 50 houses like that. Buy it. It's
And we
good.
just like took analysis paralysis right out the window, and we're just like, all right, let's go.
Let's
Let's
go.
do it, Suzanne. Suzanne's our money lender, Faster Funds. Shameless plug there.
Yeah.
Let's go look at the house.
Yeah.
Looked at it. She signed off, and the rest is history. So
And we've done multiple
The
deals
value
within
of
the
a
group now.
mastermind.
Like I've been part of other local network groups or clubs or
Yeah.
whatever, and was never able to do a deal within it. And 90% of the people there that were not doing deals.
well,
Yep.
so
And
first
it's
off,
just-
up until recently, half of our income, our gross, has been due to our relationship with Fasterhouse, the Fasterhouse
Yeah.
branded company. Lending, JVing on deals, selling to,
Us.
because you guys, because they're actively buying rentals and things like that, buying a rental from you guys. So like that relationship is really just springboarded us to where we are right now. We couldn't have been there without
So
all
I
you
mean, if you're
guys.
sitting on the sidelines wondering where all the deals are at, like join a group like this.
Yeah.
And, get
Yeah,
access
There's
to
a
it.
ridiculous amount always coming down the pipeline.
Yeah.
And we're not the Fasterhouse isn't the only game in town, but they definitely produce a lot of good quality houses to pick
absolutely. So the way we picked up Mavis, which was rental property number 3, I think technically in the line of rental properties for our closing.
Yeah.
I think North Clinton. So the way we picked that up is I called you one day.
up. That was a driving for dollars.
I humped your leg for once, and I was like, "Hey, dude, what do you got going on in the St. John area? We're looking for, or Rittner area. We're looking for our next rental." And you're like, "Hey, I got this one. It's a pretty sweet deal. Yada yada yada. Let me see. I'm about to get under contract." And I just kept bugging you about it, right? And we had one shot. You had one shot to show it, and you trusted us. You trusted us because you know who we are.
Mm-hmm.
You know we're looking to buy rentals. You're familiar. I mean, we could be
And
friends.
it fits your buy box too.
But we can be friends all day long. But if you don't show that you're putting effort into it, like if you had a friend that was like, "Hey, I think I want to buy rental properties. What do you think?" And you're like, "Would you bring him to Mavis? Would you?" No, exactly. So,
Well, it's like you said, if we talked about it earlier, you're going to put a deal in contract with somebody in mind, like Jacob been in your ear, you're like, oh.
and it gave him confidence to buy it too.
Yeah.
And we bounce ideas off each other all the time too.
Yeah.
You know, whether it be, we don't necessarily compete against each other, but we'll definitely pick each other's brains on stuff.
Yeah, like I like Dusty or him, me to him. With the, "Hey, dude, do you have a house on this street? Check real quick before I talk to you about it."
We don't compete.
Yeah.
We definitely.
We've been in
pick each
Burley
other's
and
brains.
competed on a couple of deals.
Yeah. Well, I lost my ass on the road.
Oh shit,
Kings Highway.
Yeah, that was a big one, man.
Yeah.
That was a big one.
that was like the king of deals.
Yeah. It was. I got beat. Art of the deals in the follow up there.
That was
Hey,
all foul.
Don't feel so bad because Brian, he did create a big meaty spread, but after holding costs eating into the deal.
Yeah, the exit strategy was not executed very great. So we still made good money, but it should have been a lot better.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But that was one of those big, unique properties. You got to pick the.
Like that was like retirement money level.
Yeah.
Not retirement, but
You definitely have to.
good for the year.
Those are the risky ones that you got to know who your exit is on the backside, or you're going to sit on for a while.
Well, how about the one that you and I
or
were?
you just got to price it right so you're not putting investors out of the competition.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
more of that.
Well, we just found out one of the ones that you and I were competing on a couple of years ago in Central West End. Someone else picked up for about 150 grand more
Then what
than
either one of us.
we were going to offer for it. So good luck to you guys
Yeah.
on that house. I
High
understand
five.
where you're coming with that ARV.
Yeah. No, that was crazy. Yeah, you emailed me that the other day.
Yeah, I saw it. I was like,
Sometimes
holy
you see a
smokes.
sale and a comp come along, you're just like, what? You can't figure out who or why they bought that. And
Yeah, I know where I was and I know where you were, and we were within a few $1,000s of each other in the grand scheme of things. And the next person in line, I remember getting the email and the guy said, "You're 100,000 or more off from where the top is." And I was like, "Hey, good for you.
all right,
Take it."
cool.
Yeah,
Not
take
hurt
it.
my feelings.
Not doing it. And we just saw it be shopped out there the other day. It was 149,000 over what either one of us had even offered on. Wow.
So
Like, that's insane.
if anybody's thinking about selling a house, though, and they're listening to this, just beware if somebody says, "Yeah, I'll beat your offer. I'll beat the highest offer." They're 100K. In this case, it's because that house was an ARV like 500,000.
Yeah,
so
it was a unique house.
that's a different story. But if someone's like 10, 15K above everybody else's offer, they're probably gonna lock you up, and then they're gonna drop the price back down or below where.
a couple days before closing.
Yeah, exactly. Not show up.
Yep.
So just be careful.
I mean, we had a deal earlier this summer. We told the seller exactly that.
Yeah.
And
It happened exactly the way we told her.
this was the one on Cathedral, right?
Sorry about that.
So she had a higher offer,
Cathedral, yes.
like 10 grand higher, I think.
Yeah.
And we explained, like, look, I could tell you we could do that, but this is our number. I know I feel confident about it.
I'm a guarantee here.
Right. I don't want to tell you that. Then we have to do inspections, and it's going to end up coming back down to where we really need to be anyway. And so I would just look over your offer, see what kind of contingencies are in there,
You call them weasel clauses, don't you?
and just
Right.
trust your buyer.
And I'll tell them, if somebody's crushing me on an offer, I say, if it's a one-page contract or whatnot, I urge the sellers to sit down with a highlighter and go through the contract, and every phrase or word that they A, either don't understand, or B, makes them uncomfortable, highlighted. And generally they call me back and say, the whole page is yellow. There's a reason for that, because it was designed to work against you, not for you.
Yeah. It can be one-sided for sure.
Yeah.
All protections for the buyers, not for the sellers.
Yeah.
But
I mean, ultimately, if they choose to do business with you, they have to feel like they know you, they like you, and they trust you.
Yeah.
And
Trust. Number one thing.
Yeah.
Trust is number one.
So, well, man, how about a couple more lightning round questions, and we'll start to put a bow on this thing here. So,
Yep.
Sure. Gotta send it to me.
So we did favorite lead source, your first deal. What's
How about biggest loss?
Oof, Alamania.
Let's talk about it.
I bought a house at, man, a quarter of the after renovation value, and I still lost on it. We had a foundation company come in and give us, had foundation work already done.
So real quick,
Yeah.
you say you bought 25% ARV, right?
Yes, 25% ARV.
Yeah. Wow.
I still lost on it.
Wow.
wow?
Yeah. Had a foundation company come in. They, the same company that had already done the previous work, they gave us a sense of security, like absolutely, you probably remember this.
Yeah.
Gave me, a printout of what they wanted to do to rectify the problem that was there. All was good. So we went ahead. We had a foundation contingency on it. We got the report back from the company that had fixed the foundation. All was good. So we closed on it. We transferred the lifetime warranty that is like, I feel like the backside of it was a Tommy Boy. I'll take a crap in a box and write a guarantee, but all you guys is guaranteed shit. Piece of shit
I could never remember that line.
Dude,
That's what I'm
I
always
just-
looking for.
God.
And literally the day we closed on it, we got the warranty transfer all done.
Yeah.
We called the company back out to do the work that they told us they would do, and they said, "Well, we're not doing that anymore. This foundation's too far gone now.
Ooh, found a loophole.
We're not doing it." And we're like, "Wait, you gave us this quote and this warranty." Yeah, but now the foundation's beyond repair.
That was 2 weeks ago.
Yes. Yeah, it was like 2 or 3 weeks, within 2 or 3 weeks.
That's changed.
And they said it's beyond repair. So now I had this house that is basically a teardown.
Yeah.
In South City on a double city lot with a 2-car garage. And it was a really neat house, but the foundation was just toast. And we were under the impression from the company, so I think the quote was like $7,500 to repair it, and then we had to pour a new basement floor. And
Jesus.
was nothing exciting from what we were told.
Yeah.
And when we came back and tried to get the work done so that way we could wholesale it with a clean foundation, they said they weren't going to do it. So
You took an L.
oh, yeah, I took a bath on that one. Yeah, took a bath on that. That was my biggest loss. And it was a very reputable company in St. Louis. They're all over TV, media, everything else. And they totally did not stand behind their work, that's for sure. So,
Well, let's end it on a positive.
What about the biggest win?
Yeah.
Whether it doesn't have to be profit or just maybe.
I bought one from a fella down in High Ridge. We called him the Brotato. He was like the stereotypical surfer boy that ended up in the central United States, in the middle of the country. And
Big kahuna.
yeah, he got a house gifted to him, and through a program, he got a house gifted to him, and he lived in it for 5 years and just absolutely destroyed this house. And we bought it, and we bought it at a number that he wanted X, and I wanted to pay this. We met in the middle, and all was good. We turned around and wholesaled it for just a gnarly profit on a house that.
Gnarly bro, take it.
Yeah.
Exactly. But when we got there, my significant other was there with me, and she was going to represent him as a buyer, as a buying agent to find him a new house. And even her interaction with him was like, I can't even tolerate this guy to be his agent to make money. I can't do it. So she passed the buck on to somebody else to be the agent because she just wasn't going to tolerate him. It was ridiculous. But it was one of those circumstances that the guy had a rough past, got a really nice house gifted to him, and then he was still that rough person and destroyed the house.
That happens a lot.
And then didn't know what to do with it. But he kept it one day longer than his required amount, or he'd have to pay it back. So it was like a ticking time bomb in his hands, that he knew that as soon as this date and time hit, he could sell it and take all the profits and go somewhere else.
Damn.
And that's what he did.
You do that all along, they just
Yeah.
trashed it all along the way. Wow.
Screwed it up, and knowing that he had $150,000 coming his way on the back end on a minimum.
Man, talk about privilege.
It's
Yeah.
almost
It was-
maniacal.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, mastermind there.
Ridiculous.
So-
But it was interesting, and the dude was a character. I called him the Brotato. He just lifted weights and smoked pot all day. That's all he did. Sat in his house, played Xbox.
Trust
I was
my
like,
baby?
yeah, nah. Then we'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
we'll leave it at that.
Well,
I had one last one for biggest lesson learned in your short but prolific career here.
Build a rental that somebody wants to live in, not has to live in.
Yeah.
And the other one is follow up.
I couldn't
Because
agree
those
more.
deals will slip through the cracks.
Yeah.
And you'll miss it by maybe a day or an hour, and somebody else is right there behind you trying to pick it up.
Absolutely.
So those are my two big takeaways that I've learned.
Love it.
All right.
And take action. So those are my three.
Okay. Sweet.
Yeah.
Dust Sanders, it's been a pleasure, man.
Thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
Doing
Thanks
this.
so much.
Brian
Brian and I have to go next door and
Yeah, we had a ping pong game.
And take ping pong tournament, huh?
Yep. And you gotta go to work. Thanks.
Yeah, I gotta go back to work.